my name is Luna, and by popular demand, here is my episode 52 to 63 recap to quickly get you up to speed on everything that has happened so far in Campaign 3 of Critical Role. If you want to watch my quick recaps of episodes 1 to 51, you can do so right here. Oh no, here. Episode 52. Far from the others. With the party split after the events of episode 51, we pick up with Chetney, Imogen, Fern, and FCG, who find themselves in Wildmount just outside of Chetney's hometown, Utherdurn, an underground city with a population made up mostly of dwarves and elves. The group try to message the others, but any attempt to use sending fills their mind with static and causes psychic damage. The apogee solstice is interfering with those kinds of spells. They begin traveling to Utherdurn and stop to rest in a cave, which unfortunately is the home of something else, as they are attacked by a giant lizard creature. Mid-battle, they are joined by two others, Deanna, a gnome cleric of the Dawnfather, played by Abria Iyengar, and Frida, a multi-classed cleric rogue fighter Aormaton, played by Christian Navarro. Deanna recognizes Chetney as an old flame, but he's kind of perplexed because she appears to be the exact same age as when they used to be together. Deanna explains that after their relationship, she went on to have a family, but she died in a monster attack in a festival. Her husband eventually found a cleric to bring her back, but it was 200 years later. By that point, he'd moved on and all of their children had grown up, so they went their separate ways. Deanna herself is now a cleric of the Dawnfather, but she has felt her connection to him diminished as of late. FCG is absolutely thrilled to meet another Aormaton and learns that Frida was also brought back by someone called Dee. One of Frida's primary functions is to record, and they have recordings of the laughter of everyone they have met. Later, as the group travels to Utherdurn together, Chetney uncontrollably transforms into a werewolf and dashes off into the forest, revealing his condition to Deanna and Frida. The others reassure them that Chetney is safe to travel with and that he will be back once he reverts to his normal self. While they await his return, FCG casts Shared Dream with Imogen, who sees a vision of the Malleus Key, shooting a red beam of light connected to Ruidus and Rayloran surrounding the key on the surface of Exandria. She feels a desire to let go and follow the beam, but Fern wakes her up. Meanwhile, Frida goes out looking for Chetney, and when they find him, is attacked by Chetney's wolven form. Frida replays a recording of Deanna's laugh, helping to shake Chetney out of it and gain some semblance of control again. Episode 53. Ripples. Chetney reverts to his gnomish self again and apologizes to Frida and Deanna after learning about what happened while he was transformed. They enter Utherdurn and notice that many of the magical things, such as the lights, are no longer working in the city, seemingly impacted by the apogee solstice. They head to the Vellum Steeple, a library, to try and learn more about what is going on and ask for help contacting the rest of the group. After speaking with some of the scholars there, they learn that sending spells, teleportation circles, and other permanent enchantments have stopped working, including spells containing prisoners, which becomes very pertinent to the Mighty Nine later. From outside, they hear a commotion and go to investigate. A statue within the Grand Disc, which is one of the regions of the city, has come to life and is attacking people, so the guards are shutting up the gates. The party manage to get inside though because, they want to try and help. Sneaking through the Grand Disc, they spot the creature, a huge bull with an almost ethereal, starry quality to it. By casting tongues, FCG is able to communicate with the bull and learns that its name is Umadaru. It was once a sentinel beast of Molaesmyr, an ancient elven city which fell to an unknown cataclysm centuries ago. It seems that this statue was taken from the ruins of the city and placed here in Utherdurn, and then the apogee solstice released whatever magic kept the bull in its statued form. The bull agrees to go with the group and they escort him out of the city, where he heads off to the Savalier Wood, where the ruins of Molaesmyr now lie. Episode 54. Treacherous Toys. The group retire to Deanna's small but cozy home. Deanna confides in Imogen about her feelings for Chetney and how he seems so different to when they were together, but Imogen reassures Deanna that she is special to Chetney, and Deanna replies that she's never felt special before. By using the Shared Dream spell, FCG enters one of Frida's reoccurring dreams. In that dream, they are flying above Exandria. Unfortunately, this vision of Exandria from above does not persuade FCG that the world is not flat. And FCG can see a childlike apparition sort of superimposed over Frida. After waking, Frida remembers having to protect this child. In the morning, after encouragement from the others, Chetney goes with them to his old workplace, now called D&O's Toy Emporium. Chetney had left the store after the original owner, Altgar, a burly dwarf with a white beard, rosy cheeks, and a cherry-like nose, started making metal toys under the influence of a new co-owner, Drixlich, which Chetney considered to be a betrayal of the craft. Chetney stabbed both Altgar and Drixlich before fleeing Utherdurn. Upon arriving at the store, Chetney goes invisible, and the others learn from Altgar that due to the magic being wibbly-wobbly at the moment, some firebugs have started to multiply in the store. Drixlich also arrives and just is incredibly snooty and unpleasant. He hires the party to deal with the firebugs, but also his pet Kraskalid, a normally harmless glowworm that has now left its larval stage due to the high temperatures of the firebugs and has become something much more dangerous. Before entering the store, Imogen reads Altgar's thoughts and learns that he despises Drixlich and feels trapped and disheartened by the state of the store. Inside, they deal with the firebugs and the Kraskalid and rummage around in Drixlich's things, finding forged documents that would leave him the sole owner of the business if Ultgar were to die. Very suspicious. And there's also evidence that he has ties to child labor in Shady Creek Run. Outside, the group show this evidence to Ultgar and Chetney finally faces him. The two make their peace and Ultgar decides to leave town, thinking of buying a few goats and a sleigh and heading north to make wooden toys for children again. Episode 55. Hope Within History. As a reward for calming Umadaru, the group meet with the King and Queen of Uthadern who offer assistance with anything they might need. The group asks more about the apogee solstice and they also share what they know about Ludinus. The king recognises Ludinus as being one of the mages of Molaesmyr, and apparently he was not well liked due to his hoarding of magical artifacts and his reclusive nature. The cause of Molaesmyr's fall is still unknown, but upon learning from the king that Ruidus was flaring the night of the cataclysm, the group begin to suspect that Ludinus was behind it in some way, and they decide to go to the ruins of the city to see if they can learn more about him while they are waiting for news of their friends. The king and queen pledge their support of this expedition, and they are introduced to scholars of the Vellum Steeple who can help with more information about Molaesmyr, and they are also provided with some snazzy new outfits. During these events, Frida confesses to Deanna that they have a crush on FCG, and Deanna encourages them. FCG and Frida split off from the group and talk about their shared experiences as Aormatons. The two then share a sweet kiss, and everyone on Twitter collectively lost their minds. They then go to visit Jacoby Myceli, a tinkerer who provides FCG with some upgrades and shows under FCG's faceplate their original name, Faithful Caregiver. After visiting some temples around the city and finding them mostly to be closed, the group leave Uthadern and begin their adventure into the Savalier Wood. Episode 56, By Goat or By Boat. Probably one of the best episode titles in my opinion. Riding giant goats, the group make their way along the Flotket Alps underneath the ever-present ley lines of the ongoing apogee solstice. After a brief run-in with some giants, they come to a river and decide to use it to get into the Savalier Wood. They build a makeshift raft and make camp for the night. FCG reaches out to the Changebringer to ask if she is real and if she needs help. The Changebringer appears before him with long flowing hair and says that yes, she and the other gods need help. The next day they get ready to set sail on the raft, but they realise that the goats won't fit. So Deanna just kills her goat and she and Chetney butcher and skin it. This horrifies Imogen, who keeps her distance from Deanna, and horrifies a good portion of the fandom, I'd wager. They leave the other goats behind with every intention of returning to them. We all know how that goes. And they float into the Savalier Wood, which is dense, overgrown, and just generally quite creepy. Along the way, they are attacked by a bog wretch and pixies, and Fern has a conversation with a fish who warns her about the Wolf King. They arrive on the outskirts of the ruins of Molaesmyr, and Imogen summons a Ryloran to go ahead. The Ryloran is subsequently attacked and destroyed by a huge mutant elk, and they use this distraction to sneak further into the city, seeking the Guild Hollow Tower where Ludinus once lived. Episode 57, The Sorrow of Molaesmyr. FCG casts telepathic bond on the group so that everyone can communicate without alerting any monsters among the ruins, and they stealth their way through the city. The ruins are very creepy, with skeletons amongst the streets and plant life, trees twisted to resemble human figures, and strange wildlife. Frida climbs up to the top of a small tower to get a lay of the land and see the best path to the Guild Hollow Tower. Following Frida's directions, the others make their way there without too much difficulty, and Frida begins to join them. But as they do so, a bridge collapses underneath them, and the sound draws the attention of the Wolf King, a creature made up of 5 wolf torsos all blended together. The group panics, and with much running and sneaking and scary moments, they escape the Wolf King and get inside the Guild Hollow Tower. Inside the tower, the walls are covered with a papery skin-like substance and a tangle of roots and branches. Upstairs, they discover old notes of Ludinus's discussing the contradictions of the divine gods, as well as notes on the fluctuation of magical patterns over time. The notes mention an eminent researcher called Laren, who the party don't recognise, but we know is a Bria's character from EXU Calamity. The notes also show that Ludinus was obsessed with learning the true name of the Raven Queen. They also find this surface that seems to sort of suck magic into it, but before they have a chance to investigate further, Chetney disturbs some formless, hideous creature on the ceiling, which begins to slough down off of the tower and morphs into different figures based on both the party and things within the city. Episode 58, Escape from the Past. The creature, a hate-monger, begins to attack the party, attempting to consume them. Imogen falls down some stairs and sets off a lightning bolt, which begins to set the tower on fire. As the tower burns, FCG uses command on the wall to open a secret compartment and grabs a satchel hidden inside. Fern kills the hate-monger using burning hands, and the party flee the burning tower, blocking it up with wall of stone on the way out. The noise attracts the attention of the Wolf King once more, and they run into the Savalier Wood and out of Molaesmyr. They find somewhere safe to rest so that they can inspect the contents of the bag. It is indeed Ludinus's, and inside it is a staff of Dark Odyssey, a bunch of notes, and a strange-looking harness. The notes show that the harness is used to suck the magical energy out of something in order to prolong the wearer's life and enhance their magical skills, much in the way that druids use the magic of nature to have extended lifetimes. The notes indicate that Ludinus has used the harness multiple times on several creatures in the Feywild. There are also notes about Ruidus and Ruidusborn and Ludinus's wish that he was born under a flare. The notes outline his plan to reach out to Ruidus during a flare, and it seems that he was successful and able to communicate with something on or under the surface. The last lot of notes also mention a power well beneath the city that Ludinus was planning to use to make a stronger connection with Ruidus, and the group surmised that it was using this power well that caused the cataclysm that destroyed Molaesmyr. While they're resting, Imogen and FCG mind meld with Frida to help them uncover some of their lost memories, and learn that Frida was in Aor defending the Factorum Malleus, the device the Malleus key is based upon, which is designed to destroy or kill a god. There is a white light, and that is where the memory ends, implying that this was the moment that Aor fell. This memory upsets Frida as they don't like seeing that they were hurting people, and the rest of the group remind them that it is who they are now, which is important. Chetney and Deanna share a private moment where they finally talk about their relationship with each other and what it meant, and Chetney gives Deanna a carved wooden conch shell, a symbol of the time that they spent together on the Menagerie Coast. Deanna confesses that she finds Chetney's werewolf form attractive, so he transforms, they head off in the forest to spend a night together, and they invite Fern along too. I bet the fanfic writers had a field day with that one. After a quick commune from Deanna and FCG with their gods, where they see that even more so the gods are scared and desperate, the party use Ludinus' staff of Dark Odyssey to teleport to Dressart, where they hope they will be able to find their friends, but it is yet to be seen if they arrive successfully. Episode 59, Somewhere Out There. We're going to rewind time back to right after the Malleus key activated as we get to see what happened to the other members of Bell's Hells, Laudna, Ashton, and Orym. They find themselves on a rocky cliff face with sulfuric geysers, and since they can see Ruidus far off to the south, they realize that they're probably on another continent, later revealed to be Isilra. They begin to climb the cliff face where they meet another person who was also teleported, a dwarven woman with tattoos, gold jewelry, and a bold attitude played by Amy Carrero. She gives the name Mona and explains that she was on Tal'Dorei looking for her ex when she heard the voice of Ludinus giving a speech, and then she was suddenly teleported here. Later, she reveals that her true name is Denise, but the S is a money sign. Yes, that's right, we have a crossover from Narrative Telephone. This is Dariax's ex. Dariax is Matthew Mercer's character from Exandria Unlimited. After ascending the cliff face, they see a campfire and a cart with a reindeer, and they cautiously approach. It's there they meet Bordor, played by Utkarsh Ambudka, a half-elven man who was also teleported here. Bordor has magic powers, but says he has no idea how he got them or how to use them, and that before he was teleported here, he was looking after his sick brother on the Sirius Mountains. While they are talking, the group is approached by another stranger, an elven wizard apprentice of the Cobalt Soul called Prism, played by Emily Axford. She is accompanied by an animated spellbook called Denios, as well as a raven familiar called Mother. Prism was being teleported to a city to conduct a survey on the effects of the apogee solstice, but was teleported here instead. As they are resting, the group is attacked by a corpse flower, a sort of plant creature with vines and tendrils. During the fight, Bordor is terrified and lies down while the others dispatch the corpse flower. As they rest, they discuss the Ruby Vanguard and Ludinus' plan for Predathos and the gods, with many of the group feeling that the gods going away is not necessarily a bad thing. Denise and Orym realize that they both know Dariax and connect over the tumultuous events of the day. In the morning, they head off to find civilization. Episode 60, Faith or Famine. As they travel, they start to feel an energy in the air, and this energy grows stronger as they head towards the town of Hearthdell, which was built on a crossing of the ley lines, making this a nexus point which amplifies magical energy. As they enter the town, which is quite small and appears to be mostly sort of farming and logging, they meet a man called Hender, who directs them to Elder Aberdina or a herbalist named Prolif. As they wander through the town, they notice an unusual amount of Dawnfather guards, as well as a grand white marble temple which appears to be at odds with the rest of the village. They meet Prolif inside his apothecary, and he shares with them that 11 members of their community were teleported away as well. He also shares that the influence of the Vasselheim temples has been growing greater and greater over the years, thanks to the owners of one of the local mills who have been taking too much lumber from the forest. This has upset the pagan spirits that the townsfolk usually worship. They buy some healing salves, and Bordor buys a strong laxative, which will come into play later. They then head to the home of Elder Aberdina, who is a half-giant druid and part of a line of soothsayers who can communicate with the surrounding nature spirits. Using a magical pink dust, she is able to see into Orym's memories and witness what happened with the Malleus key. And she shares that she is no fan of the gods, and she thinks that lewdness has got a point, which Orym pushes back against, given lewdness's ends justify the means approach. After some further godly debate, Aberdina proposes a deal. She will help them get back to their friends if they help her free the village from the temple. They agree, and she takes them to a meeting of around 80 or so villagers who she rallies to attack the temple. While the village fighters hide in the surrounding forest, Orym and Bordor go to the temple and ask for an audience with flame guide Kiro, the leader of the temple. In an effort to convince the guards, they bring a cartload full of ale with them, which Bordor laces with the laxative. Most of the guards drink the ale, and the flame guide emerges, demanding to know what they want. Orym tries to convince her that the temple's forces should be in the Hellcatch Valley because, they're all sort of on the same side and that's where they should be focusing their attention, but she is not convinced. She orders their arrest and Orym signals for the attack to begin. Episode 61, Crisis of Faith. As the battle kicks off, Elder Aberdina and Flame Guide Kiro begin to fight while the others attempt to deal with the guards and the Judicators, immensely powerful fighters who Bell's Hells have seen before and learned at the Aidenland Seminary that they are warriors who volunteer to become holy hunters, losing all sense of their self to serve their god. The laxative Bordor spiked the drinks with kicks in, giving all the guards who drank it the poisoned condition. Suddenly, an angel of the Dawnfather appears and commands them to stop, restraining Orym in divine golden chains. However, Prison summons a Balgura, a demon of the abyss, and Laudna, filling the pool of Delilah once more, summons a hound of ill omen. Between them, they are able to defeat the Judicator, and then they begin to attack the angel. Bordor gets the killing blow on this angel, cradling its head gently and casting inflict wounds. The villagers round up the remaining guards, and Aberdina summons the forces of the forest to pull down and crush the temple. Then the village begins an impromptu celebration, but Orym in particular is very torn about what the party have done. They have killed warriors of a god that they are trying to stop lewdness from destroying. It doesn't really make sense. They return to Aberdina's home where they continue more discussion and debate about the merits of the gods and whether it is the gods or the people acting in service of the gods who are the ones at fault. The next morning, Aberdina uses her scrying well to scry on the rest of Bell's Hells who are outside of Uthadern. Denise also scries on Dariax, who is in a dark pub somewhere with Dorian. Bordor hands over a dagger to use for the scrying spell, but the house that it shows is not his. While Aberdina is not able to teleport them, she gives them directions to someone who probably can, Hevestro. He is about 4 to 5 days travel away. Episode 62. A long walk of reflection. The group leave Hearthdale to find Hevestro and along the way spend a bit of time bonding and getting to know each other. Orym teaches Ashton to meditate, the group help Bordor practice his magic powers, and Ashton shares their pipe of remembrance with Prism to see her most courageous achievement, which is when she left the Shadow Realm and joined the Cobalt Soul. Later, Bordor also smokes from the pipe, which shows when he was practicing magic with the group and finally felt like he belonged. One evening, as they sleep, they are surrounded by spirits of the forest, and with Prism's help, Orym dances with them. There is some tension, however, as Denise has suspicions that Bordor is not telling the truth about his brother. Eventually, they arrive at the Verdant Tomb, a cavern with prismatic crystals embedded in the walls and stones. They expect to find Hevestro here, but instead they find empty living quarters and some dead bodies. Further in the cavern is a large green glowing obelisk which kind of looks a bit like Residuum, and it's surrounded by arcane runes and markings that seem recently drawn. Inside the obelisk, they can see a space that looks like it could contain a humanoid figure, but it is empty. Orym looks up and sees on the ceiling a smiling face. Episode 63, A Haunted Past. The face belongs to a shadowy being called Avitharer. I can never get that sound right. This shadowy being announces dominion over Hevestro, the surrounding lands, and something called Omadua. This being is what was once trapped in the obelisk, and the Apogee Solstice has freed it from this trapping. Avitharer attacks the party, and as they fight, they see the figure of Hevestro trapped inside it. Using Grasping Vine, Orym is able to pull Hevestro out from the creature, and Laudna uses Eldritch Blast to defeat it. A shaken Hevestro thanks the group and explains that during the preparations for the solstice, the being inside was released somehow from the obelisk where it had been placed by Omadua, a member of the Gaud Ashari, who you may recall are the ancestors of the Ashari, and we learnt a bit about those in EXU Calamity. Ashton asks about the Ashari, the cult that he is from, and Hevestro tells the tale of how Ashton's father, Efterin, began recruiting followers to worship the primordial powers of old. During a ritual where they attempted to channel this primordial power, the entire village was destroyed. Apparently this village is actually pretty close by, but unfortunately they don't get to go there. Also, it turns out that Elder Aberdina was a survivor of that explosion and that destruction. So if they'd only known that, Ashton could have asked them some more questions. Anyway, I'm not frustrated about this at all. It's fine. Hephaestus says that he can teleport them in the morning, but for now he needs time to recover and lay to rest his followers who were killed in the attack. He leaves them be, and as they rest and take some time, Denise confronts Bordor again, as she still doesn't believe his story about looking after his sick brother. It's at this point that Bordor confesses the truth and puts to bed the very popular fan theory that I really hoped was true, that he was a polymorph dog. No, the true story is that he fled his hometown of Port Damali after his mother was arrested for a crime that he committed accidentally as a child. She thought that her standing with the Wild Mother would protect her and her family, but this faith was shattered as she was arrested and attacked by the guards. So she cast a vitriolic sphere onto herself and the guards attacking her. After living a life of getting by and petty crime, Bordor was taken in by the Ruby Vanguard, where the spark of hatred that he felt for the gods who abandoned his mother was fanned into a flame. He was there at the Malleus Key site and he saw Bell's Hells killing his fellow Vanguard members. Ashton and Denise grapple Bordor as he attempts to polymorph and he weeps, telling them to just kill him. With the influence of Delilah growing stronger every day, Laudna gives into that darkness and takes on her form of dread. With a nod of approval from Orym, she uses Hunger of the Shadow to draw Bordor's life essence into herself and finally kills him using Wither and Bloom. The whole group are shaken by this, and Laudna weeps into Ashton's embrace. Orym seemingly hardens himself against this whole affair and just declares, well, they're at war. They bury Bordor's ashes. The next day, Hephaestus opens a portal in a tree for Denise to go to Westerin to find Dariax, and for the others to go to the Spire by Fire in Dressar to hopefully reunite with the rest of Bell's Hells. Well, that is a doozy of an episode to end on, but please stay tuned for my next quick recap of everything that happens once Bell's Hells reunite. A huge thank you to my patrons for supporting this video. If you found it useful, I hope you will consider signing up. You can do so for as little as $2 a month and help me make more videos like this.